Personal log, Sanjana Amara Moodley, 3rd August 2071, Cape Town, South Africa. Today was a great day for me. The Global Federation of States granted me the Lifetime Achievement Award for my contribution to the field of education. Educators, historians, farmers, and healers are highly respected members of global society. It wasn't always so. A very long time ago, the world used to worship investment bankers, movie stars, and those who made a lot of money. Can you imagine that humanity was ever that shallow, that it attributed the value of a person by the amount of money they made or the power they held? The world did not recognize people like my grandparents, who spent their entire lives educating others, but instead wasted their time following celebrities and politicians on social media. Fortunately, today we live in a time of plenty and abundance, having eradicated the scourges of hunger, poverty, disease, and pollution. Information, access to information, and opportunities are equally available to every global citizen, and we live in harmony with nature. Today we measure the worth of a human being by their contribution to the greater good and the world at large. I was born into this world 61 years ago and was too young at the time to realize that humankind was rushing towards its own annihilation. The world was bloated, dying, and crying out for help, but the sounds were drowned out by the voices of rage, fear, hate, and blame. Politicians who were elected to serve the interests of the people chose instead to follow their personal ambitions and maximize their own power. Countries had different agendas, and within those countries there were self-serving interest groups. Social media fomented discord and did not foster solutions, choosing instead to regurgitate the same old drivel. Borders divided humanity, and resources were hoarded by a privileged minority that were blind to the sufferings of the majority. Some hoarded more resources than they could ever use in a single lifetime out of greed, not recognizing the interconnectedness of the world. It was a time where individualism triumphed over the collective good of society. I was only 10 when a virus swept through humanity and didn't care about borders, color, faith, or social status. COVID-19 decimated humanity and yet ironically treated us with greater equality than we did ourselves. There was a global recession. People were struggling to survive. The inequality in society led to riots, lootings, and killings. Neighbors turned against each other. Mother Nature also had enough. There were floods and droughts, earthquakes and tornadoes. The world was at the brink of disaster, humanity poised to destroy itself and the world. I remember the tipping point and the beginning of change. It started with a chorus of voices that just got louder and louder until it thundered and said enough. It started with the realization that the politicians and leaders that we had appointed to protect us were impotent and unable to save us. A new breed of leader emerged from the ordinary citizens who realized that their governments could or would not help. These new leaders shouted out for borders and walls to be torn down, for resources to be shared. They insisted on equality and global consciousness and collaboration. They understood that for humanity to survive, no one group could be disenfranchised or ignored, and that we had to work with nature and not against it. We planted more trees. Each child was taught to grow, to plant, and to build. They started us on the path to where we are today. History is no longer written by the victorious to ease the guilt or justify the actions of the powerful. Our historians are revered today as they remind us of what it was really like, and they, along with our educators, are tasked to ensure that future generations learn from our mistakes. COVID-19 was humanity's moment of transition from which our future was born.